Hello and welcome to the NBA DFS Slate Breakdown for Monday, January 8th. We are back. We got a 6-game slate to go over here. We're going to get right into it. But before we do, come join us with one of our partner offers here. Lion Star Premium with the promo offers. You get 1 free month of Lion Star with any of these 4 offers through Thrive, Sleeper, Underdog, or Chalkboard. One of the ones I do want to point out, though, is Sleeper, because there is a $500 first-time deposit match. It is a dollar for dollar, up to $500. You don't really get those good of deals very often, so I would absolutely jump on it while you can. Now, let's get into the slate. Like I said, we got a 6-gamer. 5 of them are at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, and then 1 at 7:30. So 1 is quite a bit later, and we're going to know, most of what's going on in the slate by the time that happens. That game does have some injury stuff we are waiting on. We aren't too sure what's going on with Kevin Durant. He missed a couple games, played last night, played 35 minutes. Maybe he sits due to injury management. We're not totally sure, but that is something we are waiting on. Now, let's get into the slate itself. We'll jump right in and get over to FanDuel point guard. So, highest owned guys, we got Cody Martin, Peyton Pritchard, SGA, and then Chris Dunn. So, Cody Martin, he currently does have a questionable tag, so we're not totally sure if he's going to be playing. If he does, I'm fine with him. Don't love him. Don't hate him. I just don't really know if there's much of a ceiling. I currently am not getting to too much. Just with this price tag up into the 5Ks, I just don't think the ceiling is there that we need. And that's the reason I'm not getting to a bunch. Peyton Pritchard, I think, is interesting. So we have no Hauser and no Tatum. So Hauser is generally the guy that takes a little bit more minutes when Tatum is out. Or Jaylen Brown for that aspect. But I think that Peyton Pritchard could play an extra couple minutes or so. And without Hauser there, maybe his usage is a little higher on that second unit, so he could possibly get there. And we've had, seen him in pass in scenarios where he gets a little extra run off the bench and really produces. So I don't mind attacking that spot. Now, if ownership gets out of hand here, I will pull it back a little bit. 22%, I'm not too worried. But if that gets up 30, 40%, something like that, then I'd be pulling out big time. I think SGA is in a really good spot versus Washington. They are worse versus point guards, so that is where you want to attack. But his price, almost 12K. It's pretty ridiculous. I don't mind getting a little bit, but I'm not going to get too much. Some pivots. Tyus Jones. If this Thunder's game stays close, I do think this is an interesting spot to attack. Now, DeLon Wright was questionable, but just came out that he is available. It does take a little bit of the away from me, but I still do think he's interesting. He's been playing well. Just hopefully he gets 30 minutes and not, one of these 26, 21 type runs. I currently have him for 30, and that's why he's popping. If I put him down to 28%, or 28 minutes, I probably won't be getting any. So there is a razor thin margin with him as far as if he is, possibly optimal or not. All right, Derek White. To me, Derek White gets one of the best bumps up without Jason Tatum. I really like him. We have seen some real big ceiling, even in games where, Tatum and all the guys are playing. Without Tatum, his usage just goes up big time. His fantasy points per minute goes up big time. And we're dealing with a game versus the Pacers, so super high scoring total. I think you got to like that. James Harden. James Harden versus the Suns. The Suns you want to attack through the point guard, and Harden has been playing super well. Kind of pains me to say because I was totally off the Harden bandwagon, and at least for DFS purposes, I am kind of back on. Don't mind going there whatsoever. I think Harden is fairly interesting in the last game of the night. All right, getting over to point guard on DraftKings. We got Andre Jackson, Chris Dunn, and SGA. So Andre Jackson, he is going to get some extra minutes here without Lillard, without Campaign. How many extra minutes? We're not totally sure, but he can play a little bit of point guard. So at 3,100, if he's getting, say, 20 to 24 minutes, he probably looks fairly interesting, and I totally get why on DraftKings people are going there. Chris Dunn, okay, so I think he's very likely to get you 5x. My issue with him is 6, 7x is very unlikely. He's not getting 33, 34 minutes. He's going to be in this 20 to 24 minute range, and at that, you're looking at probably 20, 24 points. Not enough to win you a GPP. He needs those extra minutes. Can something happen to open up those minutes? Yes. But at high ownership, I'm fairly wary of that. And matchup tools. So SJA, Kobe White, and Chris Dunn with Beaucamp also coming in. Right now we have him as the starter. I would say it's more likely that Beasley would slide over to the 1 in that situation, and that Beaucamp would be the 2, so we will get that changed later. But I do think Beasley is a little interesting if he is in that spot. My issue with Kobe White is right now it does look like Levine and Vooch will be playing. One is probable. Vucevic is probable. Levine is questionable. Levine was a little bit of a late add, though, so watch out for that. If he is out, I do think Kobe White carries a little merit in a decent spot versus the Hornets. I just don't love the spot altogether. However, it is a decent matchup here versus the Hornets, so I'm not going to hate you if you go there, especially if Levine's out. Then it turns to more of a like. All right, so going over to shooting guard, we got Chris Middleton, Malik Beasley, and Jaylen Brown, all of which I like. So I think Beasley's pretty interesting tonight at 4,400. I do think he's going to have the ball in his hand a lot more without Campaign and without Damian Lillard. Those are their first 2 point guards. Now they got, to fall on Malik Beasley or maybe Andre Jackson to kind of carry the ball, or it could just be a point forward situation where Giannis is playing point forward. But all in all, I think his usage is going up in this spot, and there is a chance that he is playing more than his normal, say, 28 minutes or something, and he gets into 30, 32, and that is why I like him. I think there is the chance that his minutes go up. Chris Middleton, he's been playing solid minutes again, and without Damian Lillard, his fantasy points per minute is very, very solid for his price. And Jaylen Brown gets the biggest bump up without Tatum, so I think he is obviously interesting and obviously in consideration in a game with almost a 250 total. He did well the other day with Tatum playing, got up to 37 fantasy points, but I would expect in the 40s with, a high of 50s for him today. Lou Dort is an option to pivot to. High scoring game environment. Dort has been right around that mid 30s range for the last couple weeks, and I think this is a spot that once again he can do that. Derek White, we talked about. Jalen Green, look, is a little bit of a tough matchup with no Eason, no Brooks. His usage goes up a little bit, so I'm intrigued. He is a player that does have a solid ceiling when he gets going, and that's why I'm intrigued. His floor is not going to get it done for you today. His median projection is not going to get it done today. You do need him to have a little bit more of a ceiling, and I do think it's possible with those guys out, just, not probable. James Harden we talked about as well. And shooting guard over on DK. So high owned, Middleton, Brown, Beaucamp. Beaucamp is, the same thing as Andre Jackson. Just expected more minutes at a very cheap price. I get it. There's going to be a lot of those guys on Bucks tonight that have an opportunity. It's just, do they really come through enough to get there? Not totally sure. And high owned or best matchups, Jalen Green. As I said, I do kind of like him. This is a big reason why. Shooting guard has been a problem spot for the Heat, so I don't mind attacking with that. Josh Giddey, he's in a very good spot. His minutes are the issue. 22 to 28 minutes on any given night. Don't love that, but he does have a solid ceiling. Brown, meh. Poole does probably have the best matchup for the Wizards. I just don't love the spot. At least when he does get hot, he can score a lot. But he'll have to get hot, and he'll have to be the reason to keep them in the game. And then in that case, you'll definitely probably want some Thunder on the other side as well. All right, so small forward, high-owned guys, Middleton, Beasley, and Brown. Sounds familiar. Pivots, we have all... small forward, Middleton, Beasley, Brown. Pivots being Dort and Marketing. Marketing is a spot that I am fairly interested in going to. Without Damian Lillard, without Campaign, I think that the Bucks are going to have a little bit more problems, staying in this game or getting a huge lead than they normally do. And Middleton is going to get minutes. He's going to be playing, 32 to 38 minutes. I think if he's more in that 34 plus, there's a real nice spot at 8,500. He's a guy that can get to 50s, mid 50s, 69 point ceiling earlier this season. So I don't mind going here for a lower owned, high ceiling play, especially if you're using a lot of Bucks. You're going to want to have that game stay a little bit closer. So I like that mini game correlation spot. Highsmith we'll talk about in power forward, as we will also talk about Jovic. Small forward on Draftkings, we got Middleton, Andre Jackson, Chris Dunn, Jaylen Brown, all coming in higher ownership, and we've talked about all of them. Matchup wise, Jaylen Brown, Paul George, Jason Tate, Cody Martin with the best matchups. I think Jaylen Brown is in a very, very good spot versus the Pacers. I do like it. I just like going to White a little bit more than him, but I am absolutely going to have a decent amount of Brown. I think Paul George is interesting, and I do like him slightly more than Kawhi Leonard, but Harden of those three is definitely my favorite. Jason Tate, his price is getting up there a little bit for me. I just don't think he has much ceiling. But right now there is kind of a lack of clear-cut value, so I get it if you want to go there. And Cody Martin we have talked about. Into power forward, we got Bobby Portis, Giannis, Kristaps Porzingis. I'm not a big fan of Portis in this situation. The big guys are all fine. I don't think he's going to get extra minutes, so I'm probably not going there. Giannis, I do think, is fairly interesting, especially if he covers some point forward and just has the ball in his hands a little bit more, a little bit better chance of getting a triple-double as well. And they need, they're going to need some ball handlers. Both their, 1 and 2 point guards are out, so a little interesting there. Porzingis, no rocket science, no Tatum, so his usage goes up quite a bit, and he's a guy that even with Tatum has been showing 90 or 50s, so I don't mind at almost 9K of going there, because I do think he's a guy that can get to that mid-50 marks for us. Nikola Jovic, this is purely that he might be starting. We're not really too sure. Does look like Haywood Highsmith is back, but he played 24 minutes, 28 minutes, but only 10 here. So his minutes are kind of all over the board, but he has produced when he's got on the court for the most part. So I don't mind going here, and I think there is a good chance that he's starting, but if he is not starting, I would be jumping off very, very quickly. And if he doesn't start, I bet it is Haywood Highsmith, which he then becomes interesting. Thus, why I wanted to talk to Highsmith also. Highsmith has shown the ability to get up to, mid-20s, 30s at times, and he could be playing extra minutes in this game, so I don't mind going there. He just was out for a concussion for a few days. I don't think his minutes will be limited. The issue, though, is he could literally play anywhere from, say, 10, 15 to 30 minutes. And we're not really sure. We have Kevin Love, Jovic, and Highsmith all able to play that power forward role, and all are healthy. And DraftKings power forward, we got Giannis, Kristaps, and Pat Connaughton. Connaughton is absolutely interesting. He's another guy that could handle the ball a little bit without those guys, and he does a lot of things. My issue, though, is that he is most likely to be sliding in at forward, and there's just no open room for him. He's likely to play the same amount of minutes as he has been, 20 to 24, something like that. And with that, it's unlikely to hit a ceiling. But could he play more? Yes. I just don't think it's very likely. And power forward matchup tool, Horford, Jovic, and Giannis and Kyle Kuzma are at the top. Kuzma is a little bit interesting in the situation that Wizards are able to stay into it. He is a guy that has a real high ceiling, so that is interesting. I just don't know how likely it is that he gets there. He hasn't been playing very good the last couple games, but he has that solid ceiling, and that's why you should probably be in your player pool in an interesting game, high-scoring game. If the Wizards keep it close, there's a chance. All right, power forward. We just talked about that. Going over to center, Bobby Portis, Porzingis, Bam, Yusuf Nurkic. That's pretty much where I'm at. I'm at KP, Bam Adebayo, or Yusuf Nurkic. No Jimmy Butler. Bam just has a huge ceiling in these games, and they're going to need to run through the offense through him. Put up 66 last week, 57 a little bit before that. Had a run earlier in the 50s and the 60s. When he's scoring like that, it's hard to deny, even in a lower scoring game, as Miami's games are just always kind of lower scoring. So that doesn't scare me quite as much as it would some other guys on the slate. And to be honest, it is a pace up spot for him, which is fairly interesting. Yusuf Nurkic, all right, I do have a little bit of an issue with this one. I like it, and I'm getting some of them, but there is a big but, because he plays 25 minutes or he plays 30. So there's not too much in between. When he plays 25 minutes, what happens is he doesn't close in the fourth. And if that happens, he's not going to win you a tournament. But if he closes in the fourth, and I think there's a good chance that he does, because he has Zubac on the other side, then it gets a little bit interesting. Now, he did play on a back-to-back, so you don't love that for a big man, as they tend to play maybe a little bit less on the second game, but not totally sure about that one. And on the other side, the Clippers are on a back-to-back. So both teams are on a back-to-back. It's an even playing field, and the Clippers have been using Zubac a lot more lately. They need Nurkic's big body and defensive presence there to just try and slow Zubac down and keep him off the boards a little bit. So do not mind going there. Don't have a ton, as it is a little risky minute-wise, but I am intrigued to go there. And on to DK, Giannis, Porzingis, Jalen Smith, our high-owned guys. So Jalen Smith is an interesting one. He played 26 minutes last game. Before that, he's been starting, but been 16 to 24 minutes or so. Got a little extra run last game. This is a guy that can score fantasy points in bunches and really, really quickly. He's like a 1.19 fantasy per minute guy coming off the bench. But with Miles Turner on the court with him, he's like a 1 fantasy per minute player. So there's a big difference of where he's getting his minutes and how quickly he is scoring. As a starter, he needs some extra minutes. Now, another thing here is Isaiah Jackson is questionable. So with Jackson questionable, I think there is a little bit more of a chance that he comes off the bench rather than starting. And I think he is a little bit interesting in either role. So if he's coming off the bench, you can expect a little more production when he's out there, but less minutes. And if he's starting, there's potential of more minutes, but maybe not quite as much production, say, unless Turner gets into foul trouble here. But I think it's an interesting spot. I don't mind attacking with the power forward. And so I am intrigued, but I'm not getting to a ton of them because his fantasy per minute as a starter is so much different as coming off the bench. And matchup-wise, Vucevic, Gafford, Richards, Holmgren. Issue with Vooch is we don't know how many minutes he's going to play. Only played 25 last game. I could see him get 28, 30 this game in a good matchup at mid-sevens. If he gets 30 minutes plus, it's very intriguing. It's just very hard to project him for that. We have him at 28 right now. So I think his projection industry-wide is going to be a little volatile tonight because we don't know minutes. If he gets normal run, I really like the spot, but we're just not sure if he does. And I mean, we're projecting for 28. I would probably be right around there with him as well. Gafford is in a really good spot. Matchup-wise, his price is okay. The big if is, can he stay, or can the Wizards stay in this game? And that is about all we should cover here. So that'll do it for us today, guys. As always, please like, comment, and subscribe to our video. Helps us a ton. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Good luck. Let's win some money. Adios.